What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm back with a very unusual video. I don't actually shoot these kind of videos ever. It's just really not my thing. I know Derek and a lot of, like Greg and a lot of people like to do the Natty or Not videos. But since this particular situation hit so close to home, I feel like I'm gonna have to make an exception. I want to couch this by saying that I'm not trying to my son and I have a phenomenal relationship. And I hope that we're going to continue to be able to have a phenomenal relationship. I hope this doesn't jeopardize it. But I think that I'm not the only one in the community, in the audience, that is more than a little suspicious of the remarkable gains that my son has made over the last year. I have been looking forward to what I call his puberty cycle. Like, I was pretty certain after I got into the bodybuilding world that, if a child entered puberty with, a dad like me who's seriously into bodybuilding, and that when he gets that surge of, that first major surge of hormones, that if his diet and nutrition is on point, he's training regularly, it seemed logical to me that he would grow at a rate substantially greater than his peers, because the vast majority of 13, 14-year-old boys are not living a bodybuilding lifestyle. They're not maximizing nutrition, they're not maximizing sleep, they don't know how to train. And so if all of the things that we believe about the bodybuilding world, which is that those are the most important things, right? Like, every talking head in the bodybuilding community is going to tell you that is the true foundation of building a great physique. They always want to warn you, don't just go jump on gear. You need to have that 10 years or whatever consistent training under your belt to maximize everything that you can get out of your body before you start using any kind of performance enhancing drugs. So if what we preach is true, then you would expect to see some pretty remarkable changes in the body of a child who's going into puberty while basically living in a bodybuilding home where both of his parents are active in the gym and meal prepping and doing all of those things. Obviously, as you know, he also has the advantage, this is going to come up later in the video, of being on human growth hormone for his short stature. That has been working phenomenally. My son, when he went to the doctor and they did all of the calculations, I think his estimated adult height was like slightly under 5'8", if I recall. Maybe it was 5'8". I can't remember exactly what it was. It was short enough that we were concerned about him. And at that period of time at school, he was getting picked on a lot by his peers. He was literally the shortest kid in his class. His mother is very short. I think she's like 5 foot, 5'2", something like that. And so when you compare me, I'm not a tall guy, I'm 5'10", to he's got a very short mother. We were concerned because of the nature of the world that we live in. The society is not kind to short men. And so we got him on the human growth hormone, and his height has increased exponentially. In fact, as a warning to parents who may consider trying this, I don't know if this is the cause. I just know that it has occurred. My son has put on so much height so rapidly. Again, I'm not saying this is the cause, but if you see in some of his progress pictures, he has stretch marks along his lower back. They're pretty pronounced. I don't know what else would cause that. I don't know why he has those stretch marks. It's not like, he's got stretch marks all like from building giant lats or something. A lot of bodybuilders get stretch marks. These seem to be possibly height related. And so I forget where he started, 5'3", I think, and he's already moved beyond his original projected adult height of 5'8", and now the metrics say he could possibly be as tall as 6'1". So whether or not that's true, we don't know. It's very possible that we just sped him up to his, that we just got him more rapidly to his adult height, and that his height gains are gonna reduce. So we definitely have growth hormone in the mix. So we can't really say he's full natty. And I did allow him when he started training, and he hit some plateaus with his gains, and I was basically telling him like, look, dude, you know, this is what happens when you're natty. You know, you're gonna hit plateaus. You're not gonna build 70 pounds of muscle in a year. Like, you can't do that naturally. Even though your hormones are surging, they're not going to produce super physiological amounts of muscle. He wasn't really trying to hear that. He said, well, you know, everybody talks about the fact that, you know, you got to eat, and I'm struggling to get calories. And so I did let him try MK677. You know, it's non-anabolic, it's gray market, you know, just a ghrelin agonist, appetite stimulant. And that did work for a period of time. He started putting on weight again when he was able to get his calories, primarily his macros in line. He was struggling to get all his protein. He started making those protein shakes that we talked about in one of our previous videos, and his growth kick started again. And so I was kind of like, as a father, you know, like, who's only ever looking at bodybuilders, like, you know, like, relative to me, my son is not a big kid. And so I'm not really thinking anything about it, right? Like, to me, it's just like, you know, everything's working like we intended. And then he started getting more active on social media, and more people are starting to make comments like, my God, like, this is a preposterous amount. One guy, I think he said it was like a preposterous amount of growth for a child of that age. And then the final straw for me came a couple weeks ago. Over the course of the last month, the water parks here in DFW opened up. And so we have, yearly memberships to this water park. And my son started inviting some of his friends from school, and holy shit, like, I'm like, at first I'm like, why are you hanging out with these kids that are like underclassmen? And he's like, what? Like, these kids are my age. And the difference between his friends, and I don't just mean musculature, I'm talking about the maturity level of his face, the maturity level of his obviously the size of his body. Just he just looks like a man. He looks like he turned from this little boy. We're going to go through a bunch of pictures on here in a minute. I'm just kind of setting the stage. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. He seemed to, in a very short period of time, you know, like a few months, like about the amount of time somebody might run a steroid cycle, in a few months period of time, he went from like Henry Danger, this, you know, tiny little, completely like a little boy who looks like a little boy, to like Superman. Like, it's like, and he has this look in his eyes, and there's a confidence. There's a lot of signs and symptoms. I don't really have, unfortunately, despite the fact that he's my second son, I don't have a great frame of reference. My oldest son left the home when he was 13. Right in the very, very beginnings of puberty, I'd already had enough of him. He and I were butting heads quite badly. He decided he did not want to follow the rules in our home, so he went to live with his mother. And so Paul was really the first child of mine that I'm raising through puberty. And so it's like, how do I know what to expect? I had really good genetics growing up. When I started lifting when I was 16, like, my biceps started popping, my shoulders started popping. Guys in the gym were asking me like, what are you doing? So it up until this point, it hasn't seemed like that suspicious to me. But what really started making me question whether or not my son's being totally honest with me is when I see him at the water park standing next to his friends. And then, like, I was going back through our photo log one day. I was in the argument with some idiot on X, and I was scrolling through pictures, and I showed my wife, and I'm like, God damn, like, this is Paul a year ago. I think I made a video showing, like, his progress. It's pretty profound. And she's like, I know. Like, I know. I keep telling you, this kid is, like, morphing overnight. So today, after that very long introduction, I'm going to be putting up some photos. We're going to do a Natty or Not breakdown of Trenemy number 2, aka Paul, my son, my youngest son, Trenemy number 2. We're going to be doing a Natty or Not breakdown. I am borderline ready to go get this kid drug tested. You know, at least go get his testosterone level checked. Because while, again, I'm not saying he's lying to me. I mean, guys, let's be honest. He definitely knows way too much. There, you know, like, I don't say anything to get myself in trouble about accessibility. He goes to the gym by himself. Obviously, every gym in America has got somebody that's got something. I mean, my YouTube channel is basically a playbook about how to do this. Is it beyond the scope of reason that he could have taken a page out of my playbook and been following it? And maybe some of these gains that he's like, I don't know, Dad. It's like, he's like telling me he thinks he's a hyper responder to growth hormone. Really? Really though? Like, maybe. Again, I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to let you guys decide. We're going to go through some pictures and some videos maybe. I'm not good at doing all the editing shit. So I'm going to put some stuff up on the screen. We're going to go through. We're going to track his progress over the last year. And let you guys let you guys in the comments decide whether you think he is in fact natty, and whether or not I should risk our relationship. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know, like, how, like, I know, like, there's like doctor-patient confidentiality. Like, I know those kind of things exist, but I don't know how things play out when it comes to a minor. If I take my son to the pediatrician, and, you know, he and I walk in and I'm like, Doc, I've got some concerns about my son's level of musculature, and the doctor pulls a testosterone panel, or God forbid, a steroid panel, and something comes back. Like, where does that fall in the legal realm? Is that going to be something that now, like, the cat's out of the bag? Am I going to expose him and myself to some kind of possible issues because we effectively prove what right now is only conjecture? You know, I don't know. That's what makes me nervous. Like, you know, do I need to come up with some other way of trying to gauge this? You know, like, I don't want to like invade dude's privacy. Like, I don't raid his room. I don't go searching through his things. I'm not ever in his bathroom at all. For all I know, he's got pins and needles all over the place in there. I don't know. I stay out of his personal space. He's, you know, he's old enough to, and he's been honest enough to deserve that level of respect. But I think it's time that we maybe get to the bottom of what's going on here, because I think at last check, he was up to 150 pounds. So we're talking about a child that's somewhere around 5'8", I think, and about 150 pounds of total body weight with the V taper. And I mean, you guys have seen, you know, you guys who've been following the channel for a while have seen. So let me get prepped, get some pictures together. I'll start putting some images up on the screen. We'll talk over them and we'll take a look and see, is it beyond reasonable doubt? Basically, is it beyond reasonable doubt that this level of growth could have been achieved by puberty hormones, human growth hormone, a bodybuilding regimen with meal prep and consistent, you know, dedicated training, you know, growth agonists with MK677. And the only other thing that I know in the mix is, I don't think he's on it anymore. He was on, Sarah handles the doctor. I go to work. She goes to the doctor. So that's why sometimes you guys might be like, well, how do you not know exactly what your son's taking? Dude, I don't go to pediatrician visits, okay? Like, I'm busy at work. Sarah takes him to the doctor. She oversees the vast majority of the child rearing. I'm just basically around for advice. That's my parenting model. I sit at the table and I bestow wisdom. When it comes to like the day-to-day school, take your pills, your medicines, whatever before bed, that's her domain. So I'm pretty sure he's not any longer on a Arimidex for his pubertal gyno, which is one of the other reasons why I think that he might not be lying to me. I mean, I guess unless he sourced underground 8X and knows how to use it, because he doesn't seem to be experiencing gyno. The only thing, again, that I've seen before we get to the pictures is some acne that comes and goes. But again, I mean, it's not anything extreme. You know, he gets acne in the T-zone like most, you know, pubertal boys. He doesn't have it all over his back, all over his chest, like we saw in the videos, like Cody Copa, for example, who we know had dabbled into PEDs. Most of the time, young men experiment with PEDs. Acne is something that becomes really problematic for them. He doesn't have that. He hasn't had any like roid rage. I joked in the Discord the other day that he was acting a little sauced. He's gotten a little aggressive in the Discord. But again, it's like, what part of this is just puberty and living with a dad that gives him a lot of rope to hang out with adults and act like an adult and be a big man, be a big boy, and whatever you want to call it. Like, how much of this is just normal childhood development, and how much, or is it possible that he's not being totally transparent and maybe have at least at some point jumped on a small cycle or something? That's what we're going to find out today. So 15 minutes in, it's one hell of an intro. Let's get to some pictures and we'll see what you guys think. Okay, here we are, back with the pictures. What I'm going to do, because I don't have the editing capacity that my son has to do all of this in one piece, is basically I'm going to bring up some pictures and I'm going to talk over them, and then I will edit them into the video so that they're on your screen while we're looking at the pictures. We're actually going to go back a little bit in time to give a fully fair view of his progress, because again, there's a lot of atypical things going on in this household. So my son, unlike most kids, I mean, if you want to call it that, like, I wouldn't really say he started bodybuilding at 9, but he started lifting like a bodybuilder at 9 years old. My wife and I were going to a bodybuilding gym at the time. We were both in the middle of we were like both in the middle of a major growth phase. It was the biggest growth period I had probably during the entire time that I've been cycling. We were lifting at a gym called Legends Fit in Rockwall, Texas, and they were cool enough to let us bring our kids up there. And they started out like just sitting at the front desk, like doing homework, playing on their tablets and stuff. And then it progressed to my son wanting to try to do a little lifting, and they were super cool people and let him lift. And so he was like, 9, I think, at the very beginning when he started lifting. And I have some of those pictures just for reference, because again, I want to keep this as fair as possible. This is not your normal use case where, you're dealing with a child who's never touched a weight until they hit puberty and all of a sudden, things start happening. So in this first picture, I mean, he's a tiny little boy, man. Like, but you could already see the fire in the eyes. This is him on October the 15th, 2021. He was 10 years old at this time. So he'd probably been lifting with us at Legends for, maybe 6 months or so. I don't know exactly how long he'd been lifting. And again, I don't know, I have no frame of reference for what his body looks like relative to other kids. He's got some definition in his biceps, even at 10 years old. This second picture is a little bit later. It's about 8 months later. Again, there you can see him. You can see the lines across his biceps. You can see he's nice and lean. You see what looks like even a little bit of lats. Again, I don't know what a typical he's 11 at this time. This is June 14th of 2022. He had a buzz cut going, and he looks very serious in this video. I don't know, again, I don't know, for reference sake, what a normal 11-year-old boy looks like who just plays ball or whatever. So now we're gonna get into the changes. So this is a couple of years of him training. Not a lot. He would go to the gym with us a little bit. We've talked about this in his introduction video. When he was this young, he was obviously not putting on any considerable muscle mass. He's got no androgens. He's pre-puberty, but he was able to build strength. He was able to have pretty steady strength increases when he was a very small boy, lifting fully natty. This is him at 13. So this was taken February 29th, 2024. Now this is a picture, if I remember correctly, he's 13, so he was on GH at this point, I believe. Do you remember?
Sorry.
Was Paul, how long has Paul been on that GH?
Oh my God.
Since
a year, over a year.
So he was on it when he was 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this was actually probably in the very beginning of when we started giving him the GH. You can still see that he's like his height hasn't changed much. Basically, no real change in his body. His biceps do look a little bit more detailed. His forearms look, I think, to my eye, a little more shapely than they might otherwise look if he wasn't training at all. But he probably just looks like a person who's weight training. You know, he's going to the gym pretty regularly. At this point, he's taking this picture, I think, himself, or maybe his friend is taking it in Planet Fitness. Is that right? Baby? How long has he been at Planet Fitness?
For about a year and 5 months.
So would that take us to February of 2024?
Yes, that's the very beginning when he first started.
So this is basically your starting point of when he started training. That's right. When he turned 13, that's when I said, okay, you're coming up on your first puberty cycle. Basically, is what I used to tell him. I was like, I used to tell him basically you're about to start your first natural steroid cycle, if you can call that. When your body goes through puberty, it's really basically the same thing as an older man deciding to like blast 500 milligrams of gear, or 200 even. You're gonna suddenly get this rush of hormones, testosterone, DHT. Obviously, you're gonna get conversion into DHT and estrogen. His body's gonna start changing. He's becoming a man. You know, the vocal changes, all of the stereotypical things that take place during puberty. And my view, because I was very eager for him to, he had already expressed an interest in following in my footsteps, and that he'd been training with us already for a couple of years, and so he had shown the discipline already. I mean, imagine going to the gym and training pre-puberty. Like, this kid dedicating himself to going in there. He was literally logging his workouts when he was 11 years old, making no progress other than just basically some strength gains and just whatever natural growth his body was experiencing, right? Like, he's not turning into a bodybuilder at 11. But he'd already shown that discipline, trying to eat more calories, so that he could have good workouts. And so this is the thing, when people, ask questions about the stage that he's in, what 10, 11-year-old kid has learned to meal prep? What 10, 11-year-old kid has been already going to the gym 3 days a week and exposed to the level of information that he's exposed to in this house? So when he turned 13, I was like, okay, cool, we can get you a gym membership. We had to get him, he had to go with us, whatever, a parent approval or whatever, Planet Fitness. And so this is him. I need to get him in here now because I don't know his weight. That's going to be really important. See if I can get him on the phone real quick.
He's right here.
Where is he? Oh, dude, come in here. You don't have to get on screen. What? While we're outing you.
Yeah.
What?
I came in here because I heard you talking about me. I mean, you're being sneaky here.
I mean, what, dude? People want to know. It's a little bit questionable. I mean, I'm gonna let the audience. You keep telling me that this is Natty Gains. Dude just caught me making the Natty or Not video.
Kind of Natty Gains. GH, obviously.
Kind of Natty Gains. So, do you know how much you weighed here?
When I started, I think I was 95 pounds, maybe 100 by then.
95 pounds. So, do you have a height for us?
Probably 5'1", 5'2".
So, we've got a starter point. This is probably notated around here somewhere. We're gonna go with a starter point of 5'2", 95 pounds. And those pictures, these pictures I'm about to show you, there's several of them, were taken on February 29th, 2024, when he was 13 months old. Okay, prepare yourself.
That was before the growth hormone. I just found out yesterday was my 1-year anniversary of being on growth hormone.
Yesterday, you've been on growth hormone for 1 year. So this is pre-GH, and you've never taken MK. This is just, you turned 13, we were going to test your full puberty blast.
Yes.
Okay, so there you have it. So there's nothing in this image. This is 100% Natty, no adulterating substances. He wasn't allowed to use pre-workouts. He wasn't drinking Red Bulls. Nothing that you could possibly call performance enhancing is producing the physique you see here, which I'm sure is going to come as no surprise to anybody. He looks like a tiny little boy. And then we've got, we can see some back development. You know, it's not non-existent on that left side there, on that left shoulder. You can see the front deltoid poking up. You know, you've got some rhomboid activity in the back. We got something we didn't know at this stage of the game, that he has pectus carinatum, which is also called bird chest. So his sternum protrudes a little bit. And so we actually are looking into this right now because his posture might be a little goofy. We need to look at that with the doctor. It's crazy that no doctor has even mentioned this. You will be able to see it right here in this image. This image does a really good job of showing the effect. I used to think he was an alien because he would hit his front double bicep right here, and you can see on either side of his upper abs where his abs attached to his sternum, there's what looks like these little indentions. And apparently that's because his breastbone protrudes a little bit, and so it pulls the ab muscles off, like further away from his guts, I guess. I don't know what's going on underneath there, and it causes these little indentions. We couldn't figure out we just thought it was just, you know, unique to him, and it turns out that it's related to the pectus carinatum. So this is 100% Natty, and if you look in his face, I don't think anybody in their right mind would have any doubts. He just looks like a young boy. And at this stage, this is February 29th, 2024, he is 13 years old. Now, flash forward 8 months. This is where I should have known some shit right here. Now, admittedly though, remember, so right before these pictures I'm going to show you, this is where we had taken him to the doctor. And we were talking about his height. He was getting a whole lot of shit at school. Kids were talking about his height. They, the girls obviously grow faster than the boys. And he was good at kind of like letting it go in one ear and out the other, but like I was hearing enough of him commenting on it to where I became a little concerned. And given the fact that his mother was very short, I started doing research to find out, like, hey, is this something that we can do anything about, just in case, you know what I mean? And so we met with some doctors, and there are basically, I'm not going to go, this is a Natty or Not video, but basically you can give minors human growth hormone. There's like 2 doses. He's on the higher dose now, I think. They started a lower dose and then they increase. And human growth hormone alone basically just speeds you to your adult height. So it doesn't actually really add a lot of additional height other than what your genetic potential is. And if you can afford it and you want to go through, having to pin your kid every single day, then what it effectively does is it stops the hazing, because he started growing rapidly. So we still don't know if it's going to result in excess growth beyond baseline, but he's now taller than all of his peers.
It appears so, because I'm currently 5'7.5". The doctor said I was never going to be taller than 5'7".
Yeah, so his original projection, when we took him to the doctor, they do some metrics, and they're like, he has a projected adult height of 5'7". And I'm like, okay, let's, what are the possibilities? And so they laid it all out, and we're transparent in saying this may not, produce extra height. So he started growing rapidly, and the picture I'm about to show you is from 8 months later. This is October. This is going to be October 21st, 2024. So he's still 13 years old. And this is after about 8 months on growth hormone.
3 months on growth hormone.
3 months on growth hormone.
Started July 12th of last year.
Okay, so 3 months on growth hormone and weight training, and damn. Let's bring up these side by side. So we've got this image. Why does this have to be a pain in the ass? We've got this image and this image, and you can see that in 8 months, again, like I said, I don't know what puberty is supposed to do to you. I know that parents say, basically their little boy turned into a man overnight. There is a substantial difference in the maturity of his face. You can see that his biceps are already considerably more pronounced. The V taper's coming in a major way. He needs to learn to crunch his abs in this picture. Obviously, he looks like he's got GH gut already. But you can see the detail in where his shoulders are connecting, his deltoids are connecting to his biceps. The nice line across the biceps. He's obviously very lean. You can see the serratus muscles in his around his ribs, and so. But again, like this is the first time I've taken a child through puberty. Relative to me, this is not a lot. Like I'm not seeing anything here that looks like super unnatural. But then again, I'm not hanging around any of his friends. I have nothing to compare it to. I'm just watching him, mature as a man in my house. Here's another one of the pictures that shows the effects of the pectus carinatum with the indentions, and you can see, his shoulder development, forearm development, bicep development, pec development. He's getting muscles all over the place. That being said, when I was 16 years old, I started lifting at a place called White Rock Athletic Club, and I had very, very similar response to bodybuilding. Obviously, he's in a little different stage. He's only 13 here, but I think 16 is honestly late. Obviously, puberty starts earlier than that. And so, nothing to me like exceptionally remarkable. How much do you weigh here?
Here, I don't know, maybe 110, 115-ish.
Okay, so best guess is in 8 months, 3 of which were on GH, he went up to 115 pounds, which is about a 20-pound gain in 8 months. And you have to remember, this is not like, you're not comparing, like if I put 20 pounds on in 8 months, that's going to be pretty remarkable because I'm not gaining in height. So the whole time that his body weight is going up, his height is also rapidly increasing. He put on several or many inches in height in a really short period of time. If you have any doubt in your mind, if you have a child with diagnosed short stature or whatever, if they're in the condition that he was experiencing, human growth hormone will 100 million% put height on your kid fast. Again, I don't know if that causes stretch marks on his lower back. You can probably see him in some of these pictures coming up. But I don't see anything here. Like, we comment. I think his back was probably the thing that stood out to me the most. I can remember for the longest time, it's been about a year now. I'll be sitting in my office where I am now making videos, and I'll hear him in the kitchen, and I'll look in the kitchen, and we've got down lighting in the kitchen that hits his back, and I'll be like, damn, man, I don't know. It's a lot of back muscles for a 14-year-old boy. So you can see that there's a lot of detail in the back, but he doesn't have, you'll notice he is, there's not a single drop of acne. He's got no acne on his face. He's got no acne on his shoulders, his back, any of the places that you would, if he had suddenly just started well, it looks like he might have a little acne on his face. He's got like one zit on his face in that first picture I showed you. So none of the characteristic signs of anabolic steroid abuse. Then we flash forward another 9 months to, this is relatively recently. How old are these pictures?
Like 10 days old.
10 days old. And bullshit. What the fuck, dude? Okay, so 9 months later, and this is where we're at. Now, how much do you weigh in this picture?
146.
146. So let's do some math here. So from 13 to 14, over an 8-month period of time, part of which was on GH, he gained about 20 pounds.
31. Oh, sorry.
From about 95 pounds to 115, right? That's good math? That's 20 pounds?
Yep.
Yeah. Then we go from 115 to 146, and that's, what'd you say, 31 pounds? 31 pounds in 9 months. Now again, I get it. It's not apples to apples because I'm not gaining height. So if I was getting taller, then obviously I would by default be gaining weight. It's not purely muscle, but let's not bullshit each other. Like, if you look at the previous most muscular to this current most muscular, god damn, the lat thickness The serratus definition, he's got fully peaked. That left bicep looks like Arnold. It's fully peaked. You can start to see veins popping out in his forearms. He's way leaner in his midsection, so you can clearly tell that not only did he gain a substantial amount of muscle, but he seemed to have leaned up or at least learned to control his belly in posing. Notice the extreme difference in his face. To my eye, he looks like he aged 5 years in 9 months. I mean, it's not even close. The size of his head, the maturity to his face. I mean, in one picture, he's got peach fuzz under his armpits. 9 months later, he's got full-grown man armpits. I'm just saying. I think you either have fucking unreal genetics or something's going on here. Now, to your credit, we did use the MK for a little while. Yeah. This kid doesn't like. If I take 5 milligrams of MK, like if I was on 0 MK, and I dose 5 milligrams of MK, I'm gonna be eating the house inside of 30 minutes, and this effect is gonna last for greater than 12 hours. I could probably get away with 5 milligrams of MK for 3 or 4 days before I would have to increase my dose at all. If I went to then, like if I doubled it and I started taking 5 milligrams of MK in the morning and 5 milligrams of MK in the evening, I would be ravenously eating the house again. The only reason that I'm holding weight right now at about 202 to 205 is I'm currently taking, I think, less than, I might be right at 5 milligrams of MK. I can't remember what 3 lines in that syringe is.
0.6, I think.
But like, okay, so like 5 milligrams of MK is what I'm taking per day. And I'm only really taking it because when I stop taking MK, my stomach just feels nasty and I don't want to eat at all. I start losing weight. So I just feel like massive gastrointestinal disturbances. MK just soothes my stomach. So if I jump on, if I up the MK dose right now back to 10, 15 milligrams a day, I'm going to put 10 pounds on in very short order. If I ever decide I want to go back to 210, 215, it's just a matter of MK and going to the gym, and I'm going to balloon right back up. So MK was used. He is now at the end of, at this point he's been on MK, he's been on growth hormone, thank you, for a year. And before long, he's going to be a Wookiee. Like, he's having to shave, his body, his face, and I don't know. So we have a starting point at basically a little over a year ago. We have a starting point of 5'2" and 95 pounds.
Yeah.
And today, you're how tall?
5'7.5", 146.
What's the max you've gotten up to in weight?
149.
149. So you haven't quite hit 150 yet.
Yeah, I'm coming close. I'm almost there.
Almost there. So you're growing again now, suspiciously.
Kind of. Yeah, it's a bit inconsistent because my weight fluctuates like 5 pounds every time I weigh. Like it can be 149 and it can be 144.
Okay. So you went from 5'2", 95 pounds to 5'7.5", 149 in 9 months.
Yes.
That's an outrageous amount of the height gain alone. I don't know how you haven't broken a bone or like some.
I mean, you
crazy
can see
shit.
the stretch marks on my back.
Yeah.
They're pretty.
So come over here. Oh, all right, my camera's down. We have to cut this off quickly. Come show your face real quick. I know you weren't prepared for this. Get your face down here so we can see the acne level. Okay. So focus. There we go. So I mean, he doesn't have anything more than the level of acne that I think you would find normal in a child of his age. As you can see, he has no chest acne. And turn around, let's see your back.
Get down.
No, yeah, you can bend down a little bit. No back acne. Now come closer to the camera. Let's see if we get these stretch marks in here. This is for scientific sake. You can see right here, we'll have to see how that looks. There are some substantial stretch marks. I don't know what possibly would cause them to be there, other than possibly the GH use. So I gotta cut, my camera is literally, but I guess I'm gonna have to cut these two together anyway, so it doesn't matter. So there you have it, guys. Is there anything that you want to confess?
I'm not on anything. But you also got to keep into consideration a few things. One, you can see my posing is a lot better in between these two pictures.
The posing is better.
Well, I mean, let's be serious here. Like, you can very clearly see my gut. I learned how to suck in a lot better. My biceps are. I'm clearly bending my arms a bit more, which can show my biceps to peak a bit more. We also increased my GH dose to the second higher dose. In between this time. My posing's better. I also gained 5.5 inches of height. There's a lot of additive weight that's going to come with that.
Okay, fair enough. You need shorts that fit.
I do.
You can't wear short. We're clearly wearing the same pair of shorts.
No.
They're not.
I'm pretty sure we rebought the same.
We bought the same ones.
Yeah.
Well, you fucking need to buy them again or wear a cut, for Christ's sake. Okay?
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that.
This is indecent.
If you look at all of my pictures, it doesn't matter what pair of pants I'm wearing. It always looks like that.
I'm glad you got all the good genetics, but fuck. Okay, we're not doing this anymore. So there you have it, guys. What do you think? He swears that this is natural progression. I wish I had pictures when I was a kid. I don't have any reason not to trust him. Like, he's a good kid. I'm not like counting bottles or whatever. But I just thought it would be funny to do a little comparison video. I've never done a Natty or Not video, and I thought maybe I'd put this together just to show off the substantial gains that he's getting. And like I say, the only other thing that I have to gauge it by is attitude. His attitude is changing remarkably fast, but he's 14, and he and I have a great relationship. He never gives me any amount of grief. He never gives his mom any amount of grief. He's very respectful. He follows all of our rules. And that's not normal. Like, most parents are really going through it with their kids in puberty. I think if he was going through puberty and going through roid blasts and all, I think we would be having more issues. I think we would be seeing more acne. I think we would be seeing a lot more things. But, we'll just see how it goes. He started growing again. If I'm back here in a couple of weeks and he weighs 160, we're gonna have to go get some blood work. So your blood work better check out, dude.
It will.
All right, there you have it, guys. In the comments, what do you think? Is Trenemy number 2 natty or not? As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.